Today, I have good news for you. You don't have to be religious for faith to work for you. What's interesting is that when Jesus said that he had not found so great a faith in Israel, he was talking about a heathen man who did not think he was worthy of the Lord's presence. This man told the Lord not to come to his house, yet the Lord said that he had the greatest faith that he had ever encountered. This tells us that faith is not religious. Hebrews 11:31 says, by faith the harlot Rahab, let me repeat that, by faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she had received the spies. She was a woman of ill repute, yet her faith worked. Her faith was shown when she received the spies, when she said, come into my house and hide. I know why you're here. I got you. That's what faith looks like. James 2:25 says, Rahab the harlot was justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out another way. Rahab the harlot is what they called her. It was part of her name. She was a prostitute. What an example to use to teach about faith. She did not have stained glass, crosses, or religious paraphernalia. She simply received the Israeli spies and secretly sent them out another way. They came through her front door, but they exited out of her window. She made a remarkable assessment of the situation and exhibited her faith by her works. I'm talking about the faith of Rahab. When she heard about the God of Israel, how she acted accordingly. Joshua 2:9 says, she said to the men, I know that the Lord has given you the land and that your terror is fallen upon us. All of the inhabitants of the land faint because of you, because we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you. When you came out of Egypt, we heard about that and what you did to the kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. And as soon as we heard these things, our hearts did melt. There was no more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. Now swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you this kindness, that you will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a pledge that you will save alive my father, my mother, my brethren, my sisters, and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. After the men agreed, then she let them down by a cord through the window, and she said unto them, get to the mountains and hide yourself. Hide yourself for 3 days until the pursuers be returned, and afterwards you may go your way. This woman who was a prostitute showed her faith by her actions, proving that you can't be hearers only. You must act accordingly. My objective is to highlight how acting in faith is key in the life of a believer. How important is action when you're walking by faith? The actions that we take while we're walking by faith is what makes our faith work. Rahab had insight concerning the God of Israel. She had been considering what the God of Israel was doing to his other enemies, and she knew he was coming her way. When she discovered the spies of Israel, she saw a perfect opportunity to express the faith that was already in her heart for the God of Israel. She was a good communicator and a good judge of men's objectives. She verbalized her faith to the men and gave them a plan that she would execute if they promised salvation for her family, and when they conquered this city. In other words, she said, "This is what I believe about your God, and this is what I'm going to do to show my belief." You see, it's what you do about what you say you believe that makes the difference. Let me be bold and say that if your profession of faith fails to produce good works, it's a dead profession of faith, similar to the belief of devils. James said, even the devils believe. That kind of faith won't save you. James said, faith without works is dead. When Abraham offered his only son as a living sacrifice on the altar, Abraham was justified by his works. You have to learn to see working as faith. When true salvation happens, there's a changed life. There's Bible reading, there's getting baptized, there's church attendance, as well as obedience. It seems to me we should pay more attention to what we're going to do about what we say we believe. We should do that more than anything else. That's how we show our faith. That's easier said than done because of the risk involved. Faith has risk. The truth is that we must execute risky things in order to exercise our faith. When we're not willing to take the risk, it means our faith is fake. Both Rahab and Abraham took enormous risks. Abraham risked the life of his son Isaac. Rahab risked her life and the lives of her family. That's the difference between real faith and fake faith. In today's world, we call that risky business. The good news is that it's really not risky when you're in faith. When you're in faith, it takes the risk out of it because you have an inner knowing. You have no doubt. When you're in faith, you see with a different set of eyes. You just know it's the right thing to do. Esther said, if I perish, I perish. Jesus said, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Paul said, I know in whom I have believed, and I am persuaded. That's it. You're persuaded. You're done researching. You've made your choice. Being persuaded is a matter of your will. Thomas said, except I shall see the print of the nails in his hand and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. Thomas said, I will not believe. I will not believe. He used his will not to believe. At some point, you must will yourself to believe. You must say within yourself, I will believe. I set my will to believe. When Jesus stood at the tomb of Lazarus and called Lazarus to come out, Jesus had no doubt that Lazarus would come out. In fact, Jesus thanked God in advance. Jesus told Martha that if she would believe, she would see. That's the key. We must believe and act like we believe in order to see. We must believe and see it coming to pass in our minds, because a man never doubts what he sees. Even the eye of faith. That's why Thomas said, unless I see, I will not believe. It's true. Seeing is believing. There's an inner seeing. A man never doubts what he sees. We have to see it, as it were, with the eye of faith. Scripture says, we look not on the things which are seen with the natural eyes, but on the things which are not seen with the natural eyes. Here is the thing. Although we pay no attention to what we see, we are still looking at something. We are looking at the things not seen. Believing is a different kind of seeing. We walk by faith, not by sight. Even Jesus had to walk by faith, allowing himself to die because he had never died before. This was his first time dying. He had to trust that God would raise him up from the dead according to the scriptures. Did you hear that? According to the scriptures. Even Jesus believed the scriptures. We must get into the scriptures and believe them because now it is written. Believe what the scriptures teach. Rahab believed what she heard, but you can read the scripture for yourself and then will yourself to believe. Rahab is a beautiful example of faith in action. Remember Rahab's faith and let it encourage you. Well, I'm out of time. If this message has blessed you, please like, subscribe, and watch some of my other faith-building messages. Until next time, remember, it's a sin not to win.